Today, I have with me a veteran voice actress from the East Coast. She has been Blaze the Cat from Sonic the Hedgehog, Lyserg from Shaman King, Lloyd from Dungeon Boonies, Kurube from Senpai's Annoying, Emma Frost in Astonishing X-Men, Scarlet Claw from Cutie Honey, Rye from Tai Chi Chasers, Lettuce from Tokyo Mew Mew, Icy from Wings Club. She was once Monkey D. Luffy, and now Miss Bucking in One Piece. Far too many Pokemon characters to name, both human and creature, including Bianca, Fontina, Sobble, Wobbuffet, Pancham, Meloetta, and that's only the tip of the iceberg. Oh, there's Sobble. There he is. There, right there. Excellent. Crying his life away. And at least... and Amora, right? Amora. Oh my gosh,
wow,
there's
you're
so many.
good.
I know, I'm a little bit of an insane person with that. At least one, at minimum.
Or that might be Auroras.
Auroras? Oh no, Amora maybe is the evolution. Yes,
I'm
all
not
right,
sure.
I'll hand my card in. At least, at one minimum, a significant character from possibly every Yu-Gi-Oh series. Melissa, Cathy, Aki, Fonda, and the Dark Magician Girl. I have Erica Schroeder today. Lucky me, right? Hi,
Chris,
welcome.
you did your research, man.
No,
You
I
did
didn't.
good.
This isn't me doing my research. This is like 15 years of I was already doing that.
Aw.
Which, let's be honest.
How many
Um,
actors besides me interrupted you mid monologue? Was it
uh,
just me?
no, you're just the one obnoxious one that had to get your word in
I'm
edgewise. No,
I'm
but
the one.
but I also just go on for about 8 years too long. So it's funny. I was reminded because I was just thinking about this because we first spoke. This is my first time actually seeing you in motion. I still somehow have not gotten to meet you in person at a con, but now that I'm getting back into that, I hope that will happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But we met
We
each
met
other.
at Duart.
No, not in person. Not in person. I remember I reached out to you for an interview on a now long dead podcast, like probably 15 years ago. And then after that, I was doing research for the Did You Know voice acting videos I was doing, which was the kind of spin-off of Did You Know Gaming.
Those are
And
amazing.
and you told me so much cool stuff about your time at Four Kids and all these different things. And you were so, like, personable and candid and nice. And I was like,
Aw.
I like her. She's great. So, and, now I've seen you do all these amazing things. You're doing, conventions like what feels like 3 times a month at this point.
It's a little
So,
crazy. It depends. But yeah, some months are busier than others. But no, I watched a lot of your Did You Know things because I was like,
yeah.
I was just fascinated by your attention to detail. They were so good. And I actually learned a lot. I'd watch one and be like, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
no, it was
I
so.
didn't know
I
that.
remember Sabat told me on one of the Dragon Ball ones, he was like, I forgot some of this stuff and I directed this
Yeah,
show. So
that's
I'm a
funny.
little bit of a freak with that, but no, but I'm happy to have you. And
Thank you for having me.
we'd talked like here and there over the years, and you were
Yeah.
so wonderful, and you're such a hit with people, and I thought you would
Aw,
be amazing to have on. So thank you for giving me a whole hour of your time.
thank you.
I always bust the generic crap out of the way.
Okay.
So I know you've been asked this at every panel you've ever done. Give us the Reader's Digest of take us back to a young Erica Schroeder.
Yeah.
Your tragic backstory as to how you got bitten by the acting bug, and then eventually led you into the voiceover world as we know you from. So
Sure, sure. I might bore some people who tend to listen to all my interviews here, but I came out of the womb dancing. Probably the first time you've ever heard that story before. That's what my mother told me. You came
mm,
out of the womb dancing. I don't have a moment of consciousness of when decided to be a performer. I just always was.
hmm
Some people are struggle their whole lives to figure out what they want to do, and I have so much empathy for those people, like loads of empathy, because I'm like,
hmm
I can't imagine because to me, I have always known, it was dancing and singing and entertaining, performing, acting. That's kind of where it went and how it went. But yeah, I mean, I was always dancing and singing and performing at home, making soap operas from the time I was like 6 years old on the tape recorder with my
I was about to say
friends.
filming stuff because I love that.
We did it. We didn't film, but we record it.
Oh,
Like
oh,
with
oh, audio
tape recorder,
dramas.
audio
Oh,
drama.
okay,
I did
okay.
audio dramas from the time I can remember, and everyone knows this story. My brother and I brushed our teeth a lot. We were constantly, and that was part of my learning process. Is when I was brushing my teeth, I was being creative with him. Everyone's always like, where was your sister? I don't know. She didn't brush her teeth with us. She did it before or after. I don't know why. I don't know why my sister, but my brother and I would make the most ridiculous faces, and then we would name them. And then I would come up with voices that came with the faces and things like that. So like that's how I, came up with this one, you know. And that this one's sideways face. It's like you're cheating on a test and you're talking to your friend, and then the teacher looks at you and you go,
This
"Oh,
is this
hey."
is this is like Jim Carrey energy I'm seeing in you right
It's Jim
now.
Carrey stuff. And then like there is an element of, here's the weird part, Chris. Are you ready for this?
No.
It wasn't even till like 2 months ago that I put together the elasticity skills of Luffy
Uh-huh.
with my whole life. Like I haven't been, no one said you're a contortionist, but I have 11 joints that dislocate. And
What?
yes. And so I used to do like crazy stretches and things, and like crazy back bends with my head through my legs and things like that. And my face and my vocal cords are very, very stretchy,
So you
and
really did take a bite of gum gum. That actually happened somehow. You must have
pretty
just eaten the
much,
wrong thing as a
pretty
kid.
much. I never put two and two together like that like, oh, that's a really crazy coincidence.
Wow.
Because I used
Okay.
to even dislocate my own jaw to do baby voices. I didn't know that's what I was doing. Now I have to be careful because I have like jaw issues because
Oh no.
I had to stretch the cords thin enough to
Hmm.
be 3 months old,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with stretching. And so I'm a professional stretcher, I guess.
I mean, I was gonna say this is jumping ahead, but when you were like a go-to when Four Kids was like, on top of the world, they owned Saturday morning, they have 700 shows, and you were like in basically every single one of them, and I was learning quickly you were like a very much a charactery person and had all this versatility and stuff. I feel like you came out the womb dancing as a actual live action cartoon character somehow. I think that's the cloth that you might be cut from, if, in my eyes anyway. So
Probably. I like transforming. Love
hell
it.
yeah,
Love to be
absolutely,
goofy.
absolutely.
I like to be, I've learned to like to be close to home, I call it,
Hmm.
as a voice coach and as an actor and a performer. And I do also love that so very much. But at the beginning of my career, those weren't my favorite roles.
Hmm.
I loved doing them. I love performing, any opportunity to perform, and I would do it. But those weren't my favorite roles. And now I have stepped into some roles, in the latter years that were close to home, like
Yeah.
Devos in World of Warcraft.
Hmm.
Freaking love that part. So I have become more and more comfortable with being myself.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I literally just yesterday. This is recording this on Thursday the 9th, but I just the other night from when we're doing this, I went to go see the Gundam Seed movie with a bunch of folks, which I had the pleasure of writing, and I was reminded
Oh,
because
I didn't know you wrote it.
yeah, I wrote the script for the movie.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
God, can we
yeah.
do virtual fist bump? Because I'm in it.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was about to
Whoa.
say. I know it's probably not a role that the kids come up to you at with conventions, because also we were the second dub of the series and everything. But my favorite role of yours personally is, funnily enough, the character named Erica
For
From
real?
Gundam Seed, because I remember when I was rewatching. For those of you who don't know, we did a second dub of Mobile Suit Gundam Seed and Seed Destiny a few years ago, and you played your namesake character Erica, and I remember when I heard you in that part, I was like, "This is so like warm and natural and
Aw.
caring and motherly." And I had heard you do like more realistic, like grounded kind of anime stuff before, but there was something about that where like she gets a call from her kid or something. It's like, "Oh, I'll be home soon, sweetheart," and I'm like,
I
"That's
remember
so good."
that.
Oh my, that must have been like 7, 8 years ago. I think we did that
Oh,
at this point,
wow.
but I was, and your little bit in the movie too. I was reminded of like, God, I love her on that part. It's so
Oh,
nice.
thank
So
you. You're
yeah,
so kind.
yeah.
You're so kind.
So you've been performing your whole life. You where did you grow up before you were going to New York City for the Four
Sure.
Kids stuff?
Actually, I'm like a lifelong New Yorker, not lifelong, but upstate New York,
Oh,
Albany.
okay, gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha,
So it
nice.
was only 3 hours, on the
Mm-hmm.
bus to get there. And you would think that I would have gone more as a child, and I had an aunt who lived on the Upper East Side who was very close with, but we very rarely went to New York City. And when we went, it was like very exciting, equally exciting as it was terrifying,
Okay.
you know, because we saw things we didn't see at home.
And the
Like the guy
cigarette smell
peeing on the wall.
everywhere.
The guy peeing on the wall. Hello,
Oh, yeah, good lord. I was mostly on 23rd Street, so I was away from a lot of the insane. I didn't
That's
explore
nice.
enough.
Chelsea boy, like it.
I was right next to the Four Kids building for like 4 years of going to college
What?
and had no idea. And I'm like, I would have been knocking down this wall if I
Oh,
knew, for
that's
multiple reasons.
hilarious.
I know your first thing there, if I'm remembering correctly, was Ultraman when they were starting to
Yes,
get a million more shows after the Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh! Twofold Lightning Strike hit.
correct.
And so how did you wind up in that voice crazy world with everybody?
Sure, sure, sure. It was a life goal. Like it was like this is going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen. Probably, I think in college I talked about that a lot. I did a lot of the transformational roles in the
Hmm.
musicals. I'd be the one that comes on in act 2 and do something totally insane and then leave. So one of the administrators actually who ran the program at Cap 21 at NYU, same program that Lady Gaga went to.
Ooh.
Um, I was there before her. But anyway, he received an email or a phone call or something saying who that, in your program that you've ever worked with would you recommend to audition for this? And he was like, Erica Schroeder. And so
Okay. Okay.
he said other people. I know he had to have said Jonathan Todd Ross
Oh
because
yeah.
Jonathan and I were a year apart and had actually done this musical together called Beach Radio.
Hmm.
And then years later, I see him there,
Yeah.
and Wayne Grayson was recommended in a completely different part of NYU,
Hmm.
had nothing to do with my studio. So there were a few of us NYUers that ended up in there, but I got my first audition based on a recommendation from him.
Gotcha.
So
Okay. Yeah, that checks out. I know a lot of people that were at NYU and Rutgers in Jersey.
yeah,
Like I
that
know
was a
like
big
a
one
lot a
too.
lot of Tony Salerno and kind of his gang of folks. Like they all kind of came. Yeah, like, I'm placing like the timeline of like when Yu-Gi-Oh started and when like the new folk, because for a time literally it was like they had like 10, 15 people that did everything. And
Right.
then I remember when I was watching these shows as a kid and I was hearing, oh, somebody new, oh, okay, this isn't one of the usual like the Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh people that I was hearing and everything every other episode. And I think the first thing that I like recognized you as like, oh, this is a new person was probably Shaman King.
Yeah,
Because that was also early on, I think, wasn't it?
very early. That was
Yeah.
my first lead. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
supporting role, but it's really a lead.
He was one of the gang. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
one of
that
the
was
main
my
guys.
first big part, and that was with Mr. Tony Salerno,
Yes,
who
yes, the illustrious.
I've said before is one of the people that makes me laugh more than there's very few people in the world that can make me laugh like him. And the sessions were joy, just
Yeah.
pure joy. I would go in like, and I'd come out like, it was just, even though Lyserg was not like that, right? Lyserg was like broody and dark, but like
Hmm.
we had comedic relief in between.
Yeah.
Um, some things I need to stay in character for, and some things I need the opposite. I need to shake it off and then
Was
come
that the
into it.
first time? I was thinking about this. Was that the first time that you kind of found because you've used this in many shows now, your boy voice? Did he evolve from just like figuring out Lyserg?
It was the second.
Oh, the
So,
second. Okay.
well, there was a tiny character, I still can't remember his name, that was a bully in Pokemon.
Oh, right.
I feel
Okay.
like he
Yeah,
was
yeah,
on
yeah,
a
yeah.
skateboard or
Uh
something. I
huh.
remember falling like a crazy whack fall. Um, that was the first time I explored the voice. And then the second time was Lyserg, which was very similar to what I had discovered there, but much more refined and lower and darker and deeper and
Yeah, 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 yeah.
smokier. Because there's so many tiny little differences between each of the boys that I've done.
Hmm.
Some of them are register, some of them are texture. They're similar. They're usually recognizable. But I've also done like young, more, nerdier boys for the sake of the word, with no texture at all. They're kind of up here. Those don't tend to get recognized,
Hmm.
as me. But Yeah, that was like you're right. It was the very beginning of my vocal exploration of playing boys. Yes.
Yeah, and it's funny by happenstance because I'm going through it. This morning I watched an episode of the remake Shaman King series, and where you were one of many from the OG cast that actually got to come back and do a like
Yeah.
non Saturday morning. Although I say that because I know also from what I've learned that Shaman King, maybe more than any other show that they did it for kids, was actually the closest to like the client
Yeah.
wanting them to be as close as possible to the original script and the story and not changing too much stuff. Because like, even the fact that like, because I think about Andrew and Sebastian and some of them that were higher pitched guys playing these boy characters that were played by women in the Japanese, and by the time Lyserg came along, I would have expected like someone like closer to whatever that was I just did doing that, but they went with you, and I remember thinking like, oh, okay, that's interesting because usually they wouldn't do that back then for dubs. That was kind of a rarity.
Yeah.
But and then when you got to do the remake version, you slid in so naturally too because obviously the tone is so much darker. Just the show in general is so much darker. And it worked fabulously. Like I
Thank
fully buy
you.
that. So
And you know what? They did tell me one of the reasons why I got that part as Lyserg. I don't even know if you know this. You probably do because you seem to
I
know
might not.
everything.
No, educate me. Educate me.
They said that Lyserg was mistaken for a girl at
By
some point,
Ryu. Yes, you're right. You're right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and they were
yeah.
like, "We would like to bring in a different flavor,"
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
It was funny because I wasn't the most feminine of the boys there. Definitely not. Like ironically, I was one of the more masculine ones, I think, in that group. You know what I mean?
He's just
But
very pretty. Is all
yeah.
really.
So they really were listening, like like you said. And I just recently learned that too. I did not know
Yeah,
that Shaman King was one of the ones that they really stuck to. And I think
yeah,
that's so interesting. And I do think it also has something to do with the fact that what was that? Like year 3, year 4, like in their journey,
yeah. I think so.
they had started to acclimate their audience to more to Japanese culture.
Yeah.
They had to slam them with the I'm gonna make up a number. 60% American, 40% Japanese. You know,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and then at that point they could kind of do 80-20 or something, you know? That's just another idea in my head. It's not necessarily the truth. It's a theory.
Well, no, it's interesting because again, like as I'm dating myself, but because I was a kid watching these shows, I was in middle
Mhm.
school and high school, kind of around that era, and I remember as I was learning more about like what anime was and seeing the differences in how for kids and like Funimation and Viz and all the places out here were evolving and changing their style and adapting things as because like the kind of order of like there was Sailor Moon and then Pokemon and then Dragon Ball and then Yu-Gi-Oh and at the same time then like Cowboy Bebop and some of the Adult Swim stuff was getting people acclimated into what is anime, like why are these shows like this and the very distinct differences, but also then because you guys were doing shows from other countries because what Wings Club was Italian, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah, and they're still doing stuff.
Oh yeah,
That's
no, Wings Club's had like
Rainbow.
4 dubs or something. I think at this point it's like it's been through the
Yeah.
ringer. Yeah, good lord.
Well, they're like Sega in the sense that there are certain companies that like to move cities. Boop,
Yeah,
boop,
yeah,
boop.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
And some actors take it personally. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not upset that that anybody would take it personally at all. For me, I can't. I just can't.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, they're not saying no to me. They're saying yes to another city. And usually it has something to do with either more exposure because of on-camera people, right? Or it has to do with budget. Are they cutting the budget? Are they adding to the budget?
Yeah.
And so those decisions have nothing to do with the talent usually.
Yeah.
It typically has to do with also like, okay, we don't want it to be associated just with these people. We want, franchises tend to jump around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I highly respect about, and I've always respected about this about you, if I've not said this, because you have been in an interesting position with a lot of your characters, where either like you were the first voice or a previous voice, and someone takes over, or you have taken over for somebody else, and you are always so gracious about how you conduct yourself with that. And not everyone always is necessarily. And
Yeah.
I think that especially in this era where, yeah, it happens all the time, especially
Yeah.
with big franchises. I think that's very cool of you, and
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that about you very much so.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
think like some of that has to do with a bunch of different things, but like one that I just thought about, what you said, it was like with theater, usually the show ended at some point.
Yeah.
And then there's another production and somebody else plays that role.
Yep.
So it was something that I was kind of used to in that regard. But also, I do like positive energy and I don't like unnecessary negative energy going into the world because there's already so much of it. And
Hmm.
like it's not personal.
Yeah. Yeah.
It isn't. Like it obviously it can feel personal, but I never feel like I got this. I put the chair here. I dumped out all the things
Oh,
that people have given me over the years just because I was like, oh,
look
Chris
at
is fine.
her.
Um, like it comes and goes, but you know what? She'll always be a part of me.
Of
Like it's
course.
not like because two other actresses have played her that she doesn't belong to me anymore.
Hmm.
She's ours. But even before she was ours, she was the writers. She was the director. So she doesn't belong to any one person, you know?
Hmm.
So that's the way I look at it.
Absolutely. I'll tell you too. Kind of going back in the history, because I remember when I was starting to become more and more familiar with your work. I remember one of the very first kind of distinct things that was a big deal for you was Blaze, because I was in the Sonic fandom in that era, and I remember there was much controversy at the time about, oh, they're moving, talking about moving cities. Oh, they're using the Sonic X actors to do the video games now. Grr, we don't, we want the original guys back, and etc. But when they started to introduce new characters, and also this I, if I'm remembering the time period right, this
Hmm.
was also in the midst of people dogging on One Piece at the time,
Could have been.
and very much on you. But like shortly after that, Blaze the
Hmm.
Cat comes in, and I remember everybody was like, "Whoa, she's great." Ooh, and she does a great job with this character, and it certainly helps the fact that you were coming in as the first voice of this of a very cool new character, by the way, that was very universally loved by everybody.
Thank
And
you.
so there's it's bizarre, like literally all at once you have these different things happening
Yeah.
and different respond. I know there was little internet, and you guys weren't looking at that kind of stuff, which for good reason at that
Which I think is
time.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
Um,
listen too much, if you listen to the negative, you have to listen to the positive. If you listen to the positive, you have to listen to the negative. And sometimes people's responses come more from a sense of like this is purity, or
mhm.
I own this, and everyone has the right to feel how they feel.
Yeah.
What they don't have the right to do is to be cruel,
No.
you know. But also like I let it slide
Yeah.
because you have to. You have
Yeah.
to. You have to move forward. I'm not saying that like sometimes I don't get a comment on something that hurts.
Yeah. Of course.
But I also have to educate that person and go, all right, okay, you can have your opinion, or it's usually lately it's about my body or my face, which is I have less tolerance for because it's just not cool, you
People
know.
you know better than that.
Don't do it,
Don't do
guys,
that. Come on now.
yeah, and it's like but I instead of getting mad or blocking or whatever, I try to educate because negative energy begets negative energy. So
Absolutely.
if you take negative energy, you can change it into positive if you're kind in your response. So I try to be kind to haters. And you'd be shocked at how many of them feel shame or feel bad or change their mind, and also I'm like, don't you feel better in your heart right now?
Yeah,
Like,
learning moments, and and
right?
then we can just be cool. No, that's wonderful. I actually
I
didn't know that
try.
that's
I'm not
the.
always successful, but I try.
No,
I
but
try.
even the fact that there's any success, that because that I mean, people on the internet are awful.
I've had
They're awful.
people I've had people apologize to me
That no,
privately
that's
and
great.
publicly. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
beautiful. I'm like, you're forgiven.
I'm really sorry, Erica.
I,
You unearth. Oh my God! Hold on. I have to mention this because you just unearthed the memory. I don't know if anyone's ever told you this. I remember when. Okay, I was on a website called TV Tome, which is no longer a thing, but it was an old. It was a pre-Wikipedia kind of thing, where it was a big database for all movies and TV shows and things. And there was a message board, and I remember somebody had just gone to a convention where Mark Durazon
Mhm.
Carrie Williams, so I think that might have been the only con she ever did. Jamie
Oh, wow.
McGonigal, and somebody else. Maybe it was Wayne. I can't remember, but
Hmm.
it was a 4 kids panel.
Oh, wow.
At like I think Anime Next in Jersey, I think at the time, and I remember people were bringing up One Piece and talking about it, and apparently all 4 of them were like, the woman who plays Luffy is beautiful and so
Oh,
funny, and we love her. Oh my god!
what?
And we didn't, and the internet, because at the time the internet knew you as Bella Hudson, and
Gotcha.
there was no Erica Schroeder to put a face or a personality, or and so few at the time, so few of the New York dudes did cons or social media or anything.
True,
Now we
true.
see you guys at cons all the time, Yu-Gi-Oh stuff and all that kind of thing. But yeah, even back then, I remember some of your colleagues were all, oh my god, we love Erica. Oh, she's
Oh,
so great.
that's so
So
sweet. That's so nice to hear.
yeah,
No, I was Bella Hudson for a little bit. It
yeah.
was fun. It was fun. I actually thought about when there was controversy of like which one is she? Like is she I thought about coming online and being like a twin sister and like hating each other. I thought about it like God, that would have been so much fun to just be like Bella and Erica like going at it, you know. But I just didn't have that much time on my hands.
I've always been curious when people do have stage names for various
Mhm.
reasons. Where is there a story behind where that came from?
There is a story. Yeah,
Please.
so my theatrical agents at the time and my on-camera agents and stuff said, like, let's separate these people. Um, I, I, I was like, okay, that's fine. Um, but the name came from my sister's name is Danielle, and I've always called her Daniela Bella. Um,
Oh.
yeah, I love my sister so much, and she's very like supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
Has never worn makeup. She's just naturally very beautiful and just a really good person and doesn't really care what anyone thinks. Like, but she's not in that way. She cares if she hurts somebody. But she's like, this is me. I'm here to do good. And she's such a role model to me. I love her so much. And so I used to call her Daniela Bella all the time because I have nicknames for like almost everyone in my life. I don't know why. Some people I know have different nicknames by
Mm-hmm.
me. My sister was Daniela Bella. And sometimes they morph over time. And then she had her first daughter, my niece, who's I love her so much. She's a lot like my sister, Hudson. So I put the names together and made it Bella Hudson.
Got it. Okay.
And then I don't know if you know this,
No.
years later, found out that Bella Hudson was a very famous racehorse.
Oh. See, because I always have
Yeah.
theories. My assumption was like, is it is it your favorite car? Like that's a beautiful car. Oh, that's a Bella Hudson or something. That was my friend. Was my
Oh,
best guess.
that's too funny. And I grew up next to the Hudson River, so that's part of it
Oh
too.
well, my God.
Yeah. So
Well,
it was just kind of perfect, name for
that's
me.
a mystery solved. My God.
Yeah. There you
I
go.
always said that if I were to use one, I wanted to use Randy Panels because I used to do really crappy impressions of Andrew Rannells, who's now a megastar. Never got the chance to use that, but maybe someday.
But it's also good because it's like I host random panels at conventions. Randy
When we get to
panels.
do, yeah, right.
I love Randy
My
panels.
God,
Oh,
yeah,
you have to be
I gotta
him.
whip that out at some point. Yeah, if I
Gotta.
ever need to. I'm reminded also, going back a subject because we were talking about Luffy and Blaze, that both of those being early characters on Fear, and those were both like also very hands-on clients, like
Yes.
collaborative efforts. I remember actually when we talked, when I was doing my Did You Know voice acting research for the video, you were telling me, and I was shocked to find out that, oh no, like people from Toei were there, and we had meetings and we developed stuff. Like they took it very very seriously because I had also learned.
Just those two though. Like just those
Yeah,
two.
yeah, yeah.
And
Oh
turtles, but
yeah, of course, of
I only got to
course.
be guest characters on that. But like though everything else was different. It was on a little bit faster track. But
Yeah,
yeah, I didn't mean to
yeah.
interrupt you.
No, no, no. Well, because
Yeah.
I don't know if you had learned this either, but I had found out that prior to that,
Hmm.
I guess Toei had done pilots around North America. They did test dub episodes Actually, Funimation did one. Eric Vale, who's now Sanji, was Luffy in the one that they did, I think a year or two before. Yeah, and Ocean did one. They probably did one in L.A. for all I know.
Wow.
And then
I knew about one of them. But
yeah. And then I think my understanding was they probably saw like, ooh, they're making bank off Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! I would love for them to be able to do that for our show. And then lo and behold, and then you guys did the show for, I think, 3 and games and stuff. I think 3 years, right? It's a lot of episodes. Yeah.
3 years I had to put my musical theater career on hold.
To scream your lungs out.
Literally, because Chris Collet had, and it wasn't his fault. Mm-hmm. Chris had Mondays off.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I accepted the job and then found it out. And I was like, oh, no. Like, oh, you know what that means? No, because I wanted to record on Mondays so that I could sing Tuesday through Sunday. But there's no way in hell that I could do 3 hours of Luffy and then sing an aria. I mean, I could sing. I'm sorry, that's wrong. I could sing soprano. I could not belt.
Okay.
Because belting and Luffy are in the same part of the voice. Whereas the soprano voice is above it and around it, and no problem. I could do opera that night. But if you wanted me to belt at all or mix, that's the third part of the female voice, it would not sound very good. It just wouldn't.
Did your voice, do you feel like it changed after playing? I mean, because that was 100-something episodes you guys did at the time.
It changed a little bit. Like what it did was on certain notes in my belt range, there is inherent texture unless I'm like laser beam focused to get rid of it. Yeah. Again, not in my soprano voice, not my mix actually, just my belt, my straight belt. Do you want to hear a funny story?
Please.
Probably one of the funniest stories of my career was I had a final callback for Green Girl and Shout the Mod musical. Our colors were our personality types, and Green Girl was the slut. That was the punchline. That's all she had to say. There were like these monologues above everybody. Red girl does domestic, blah, blah, blah. Like Green Girl is the slut. I look offended. Anyway, so I was at my third callback for Shout the Mod musical original cast, and I had recorded Luffy either the day before or that morning of. I honestly can't remember which one it was. It was my last record for Luffy. The very last one. Yeah. And I was like, oh, fuck, why today? Like, why does this have to be on this? Just really, like, I'm going to illustrate what happened because I told you what would happen. If I did that voice the same day, I had to belt. So I had to do a really famous number, Goldfinger, and it's like Shirley Bassey, and it had to end in it. He loves God.
Yeah.
So I tried to do like Shirley, and the song was perfect. It was great. Everyone was loving it. I get to the very last note, and I sing the note gold, and Luffy comes out. No! I just suddenly transformed from Shirley Bassey to a cartoon character that sounds like they're on crack. And then people's faces changed, like I was looking at the panel, like, oh, I lost, something happened. You
got the gig, didn't you?
I did get the gig, but I finished, and instead of letting them like talk to me or applaud or give me directions or whatever they wanted to do, I started talking immediately out of nerves. I just became Luffy.
Just cover up the awkwardness, please.
Cover up the awkwardness. I was like, I can explain that. And the director's like, okay. He found me very amusing from day one. We would just laugh. He's one of the funniest people in the world.
That's got to be more of a testament to just your character and likability of just like, all right, no, we need this woman in with us, please.
My real self. I mean, he and I were clowns together, and I would just be like, so I was like, I can explain that, and they were like, okay, and I was like, well, that was a cartoon, and they're like, they're even more about.
I just came from doing this morning.
I mean, from doing that, and then they thought I was like had a second personality because I was like, he just came out. I couldn't help it. Had nothing to do
what I would not have given to be in that room.
I confused them for a while. They were like, she might be insane. But then I finally like had them and I was like, "No, it's literally just a vocal thing. It'll go away. It just can't be done on the same day. It'll go away. Next time you hear me do it, you will not hear that,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I had to explain myself. And anyway, they thought that was the funniest thing in the world. She's
Because it
so
is.
weird. She's so quirky. And that I think helped, honestly. I do think it charmed them because I
I,
was just
I
myself.
swear, if you were right about earlier that morning, it was recording him, and then you did it later. What I would not have given to have documented that day, that 24-hour span of your life, just to see.
I only have one story, audition story that tops that if you want to hear it.
Why, yes, I would love to hear that story. In fact.
Okay. This is a crazy one. Normally, I didn't have insane things happen when
Hmm.
I was auditioning, but sometimes, weird things would happen that would change your performance or change your perception of things. So, this was very early on in my career, and I was auditioning for a show called The Library, and I was auditioning for like with a coloratura number,
Hmm.
which for those of you who don't know, it's not just one of the highest voices, but it's the most moving voice.
Yeah.
Moves. So anyway, so I was singing Glitter and Be Gay because I just always loved that song and just right. So you laugh because you're a little bit familiar with it.
Hmm.
It's like 14 pages long.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't audition with a song like that unless you have a cut of it.
Hmm.
But I had this weird thing. I, again, I like to follow rules. I am a big rule follower. But I had one rule that I chose to never follow. And it did me well. The one rule I chose to never follow was I really hated it when people started in the middle of the song or
Yeah.
started it,
Yeah.
I'm gonna sing the most highest impressive note. And I was like, why can't we just tell a story?
Yeah.
I just want to tell a story. So I would start every audition like this. I know you only want to hear this. I didn't have to do it with this one, but I would say, I know you only want to hear like this much, but if it's okay with you, I'd like to start at the beginning and tell a story. And when you don't want to hear anymore, just cut me off. And no offense taken. Anytime, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I would
That's
say.
bold. That's bold.
It's bold, but like everyone liked it. Everyone was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I want to hear a story. I'm like, that's what I'm here for. I'm an actor. I'm not just a singer. I'm both. I'm going to tell a story. And I want to tell it from the beginning because a lot of people don't start telling a story from the middle.
Yeah.
It's just weird. So I started from the beginning, knowing they'll cut me off before page 14. Of course they will.
Of course.
No.
No, they just kept on listening, all 14 pages.
I only knew 7. I only rehearsed 7 pages. Chris, do you see where the story
You
is
have
going?
some kind of X factor. I don't know. I don't know how else to explain this. My God.
I would never do this today, but I did it then, and I only knew 7 pages, and I'm getting to the end of the 7th page, and I'm going, "Fuck, I don't know what comes next. I have no idea what I'm doing." I mean, I've heard the song, I know kind of how it goes, but I don't know the lyrics. I don't know what happens. It's all these trills, it's all this stuff. So I get to that section where I don't know, and I'm going, "Okay, someone's gonna cut me off. Someone's gonna cut me off. Someone's gonna cut me off." Nobody cuts me off.
They're
I'm like,
just
"Oh
they're just
well."
all like,
I gotta keep going. Yeah, they're all like this, like riveted. What's she gonna do next?
oh my
So what do
God.
I do? I improvise. I improvise the rest of the song. Improvise the whole fucking thing.
Wow.
They're dying. They're pissing themselves laughing. They're holding their stomachs because they're like, obviously something's off. Like they don't know what it is. Obviously she's not singing the song that we know. This is not the song. It's something else entirely. And since I knew at that point, like they know something's wrong, I just started like, really laughing as these coloratura trills are coming.
Hmm.
I'm breaking character doing
Uh
this
huh.
stuff. And then the end of the song ends with like a high D or E, something ridiculous. It ba, ba, right. I didn't warm up that high. And I'm like, I don't even know if I can hit that note. Fuck. What am I gonna do when I get to that note? I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I went and I got to that note and I just shook my hands furiously and pretended I was dubbing. It must have been my first dubbing experience. I went, and then I
Oh.
finished it. But at that point, one guy had fallen off his chair
Uh huh.
and they were just like, And they hired me.
Yeah, I would. They'd be insane not to. And this is a whole nother thing, but you're reminding me of how much it's such a bummer we rarely ever get to audition in front of human beings anymore.
I miss it so much.
When I started, not to make this about me, but when I started in New York at the time, I my only connection was Pokemon when they were doing a Duart. And I would have to go all the way to New York City from Long Island for an hour and a half, to get there for one audition. But I still wanted to do it, not only because, oh my God, I want to get on Pokemon, but also because, I would rather I was offered, oh, you can send an MP3 if you want. And I'm like, no, I want to be there to work with the director and make an impression and have fun and play around with it or whatever.
That's amazing.
At the time, and that was, I think, when that was starting to happen more. This is 2009, 2010.
Oh yeah.
And now it's the norm, and now maybe it happens with callbacks. But
I miss it so much, Chris. I mean, it's so funny that you brought it up. I miss it so much. And I think our people that came after us and our younger people, not all of them, but I would say 80% of them don't want to be live. They're terrified of it. And I'm like, that's not good.
No, I wish I could
terrified.
Do that more. Yeah.
You can't be terrified, because that means when you get in session with a client and they don't like what you're doing and you have to switch it up, are you going to crumble in a pile? And I'm not judging. I'm just saying you have to be tested.
Yeah.
An audition is a testing process to see it's not just how talented are you and can you take direction. It's, do you crumble? Can you take the pressure? Because it is pressure.
And on the opposite, do you mesh? I feel like it's just as much of a personality thing of if they're going to be working with you for 26 weeks or 52 weeks or how many years, they gotta, they gotta want to enjoy working with you. That is just as much of a factor, frankly.
Huge part of it.
Yeah.
Huge part of it. Enjoy working with you. And I talked about this maybe in my interview, my 4Kids interview, I don't remember, being a mirror to the energy in the room.
Yeah. Yes. You talked about that.
It's an opportunity. You and I are mirroring each other. We're interrupting each other like crazy because we're having the best time.
Sorry.
No. It's good. We should be. We're excited. So but if you were an interview and you're being very serious with me, I'd probably be like, so then in 2003, because I'm like, it's not that I'm going to become a different person just because of you, but I'm going to take my cue off of your energy a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like at the actor's studio, those, when James, when he was like, no one was up there going,
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Kind of you feed off of the energy. But yes, I miss live auditioning so much for things like that, for reasons like that. I love a live audience. If I can make people laugh, even if I'm in the studio, I know if I can see their body language change, that helps me. And I miss it. I just miss it.
Also, just even the social connection of even if you don't get the gig, but they remember God, Erica is just so cool. Even if this doesn't work out, we'll get her on the show as somebody or whatever. Or the next thing that we do, it's I can't tell you how many people I haven't cast in a while, but when I used to at a more consistent basis, I would still find people even if they wouldn't make the cut for that project to be like, oh, I'm gonna remember so and so.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have room for that, but you remember. I really enjoyed, Tara Rubin is a Broadway casting director. She was working for a different company then, and now she's had her own for years. I think it was the fifth Broadway show that I got down to the wire for. 2, 3, 4 callbacks. It was I think the fifth one. Jane Eyre was the one where it was the right time and the right, and I'll never forget. Every time I didn't get it, it was disappointing. But I go, there's next time.
Yeah,
they'll remember me. I made it down to the wire. I got that far. You have to look at those things as wins. Yeah. Right? You have to look at them as wins. Did you go in and have a great audition? Great. Did you book it? No.
Yeah.
You have to look at it as a win. If you don't,
did it give you a good day today? Yeah. That's the best you can get even.
Yeah, to be able to continue and to know that, like you said, you're building relationships. You're being consistent, and people remember consistency. That's what they remember.
You reminded me, was Blaze one of those multiple callback situations, I think?
I don't remember that. I I was recently asked about it, and I said my memory's so fuzzy as to whether or not I already had the job,
Uh-huh.
and then we were forming the character after the
Yeah.
fact. I know I had to audition,
Yeah.
but I don't remember if they were like, if all that molding happened mostly during the audition process or mostly during the booking. And I believe the molding happened during the booking process.
Yeah, which was funny because if I'm remembering correctly too, I think the first game that you did her in was like a DS, like a Nintendo DS game where there were probably maybe 10 lines of dialogue. Anyway,
Do you know the name of that? Do you know the name?
I think it was Sonic Rush. I think
Because
that
I don't remember which one was
yeah.
first.
I think because Sonic Rush and then Sonic 06, which was the one with you and Silver, were
Gotcha.
both like really and they might have been at the same time. They
Gotcha.
honestly might have been at the same time.
Maybe they were. I
Because yeah, there's
don't
there's an
remember.
infamous thing. Maybe fans have brought this up to you. There's an infamous thing where
Uh-huh.
even Sega's been kind of ambiguous as to which one happened first because like
Oh.
the way Sonic 06 ends where with Blaze's thing where she sacrifices herself and she goes to another dimension or something, and like there's a moment where like Sonic is brought up and she's like a blue hedgehog, but it's like ambiguously like, wait, has she met him already or has she not met him yet or
Oh.
whatever? Like it's kind of unclear. But
Isn't there some incongruity or something with a different game? Like I didn't know what happened in what order, and like I'm experiencing it as an actor, so I'm not
yeah.
experiencing it as someone who's seeing it. But I think I remember someone saying they could change the rules very suddenly, um, meaning like the world would change or the what had happened, what was going to happen could change
I
from
think that,
game to
yeah,
game,
I think that now,
something
as
like
of the
that.
most recent game, I think Sega's like kind of being a little more fortified with like this is the continuity, this is the stuff. But Sonic 06
Gotcha.
is also kind of a weird black sheep because there's like time
Mhm.
travel stuff and then there's like resetting of universes. It's a little hyper complicated.
Yeah.
Although, oh, I have to mention this because I know I'm going to forget this if I don't say this here. And I might have told you about this, and maybe if I did, it was years ago. I mentioned writing Gundam Freedom. The first writing job I ever had was on a show that we did with our lovely friend Brittany Lotta, called World War Blue. It was a little
Yeah.
3 episode thing from Media Blasters, and it was, those of you who haven't seen it. It's the console wars, like the Nintendo versus Sega console wars, but the game franchises are people, and it's like warring like medieval like fantasy kind of like armies and stuff. And so the main guy is clearly Sonic, like he's clearly a Sonic parody, and his mom and dad, who sacrificed their lives for him to survive, are a parody of Alex Kidd and his partner from the old, like pre-Sonic big Sega game. And
I've got to watch this now.
it's if you can even find it, it's probably lost to time at this point. But
Oh my
I
God.
remember when I knew that Brittany had cast you as the mother, uh, and I went crazy on like so many like video game references, especially Sega and Sonic references in the script. Like there was nothing but that, like every other line. And there was a moment where the mom and the dad, I think the dad was Mike Lucio, if I'm not mistaken. It was the
Oh,
two of you guys, not
maybe.
from
Oh,
Pokemon.
wow.
But
Uh-huh.
there's a scene where they're like the spirits they've passed on, and they're talking about, oh well, I guess we have to leave everything to our son now. And I wrote, and I'm getting emotional even thinking about this. I wrote for your character, "You're so naive, but I've always liked that about you." Word for word, I made that
I
a Blaze.
remember
Yeah, I was like,
that.
I have to, like, come on. And that was mainly for my own
That was
gratification. But
you.
yeah,
Oh
yeah, yeah.
my
So
God.
that was fun to do. That was a long
That
time
was
ago.
so great. And she let me do that from my home studio. I remember it was like I think it was one of my first
Yeah,
jobs
yeah, yeah,
from that
yeah.
my home studio. And also, eh, Brittany is awesome.
Oh
She
yeah,
has
I love
been
her.
so supportive and
Hmm.
so kind to me. She's a woman who supports other women.
And I was reminded, and I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Speaking of the, and by the way, those of you who haven't seen the Four Kids flashback, highly recommended. Terrace Sands podcast, which Eric has been on as well. It's awesome. There's so much cool stuff. If you like what we're talking about here, like please go check that out at
Yeah,
some
it's
point.
great.
Um, you had mentioned in that. Oh my God, I'm losing it. I was thinking about something.
Oh no,
Oh,
I know what
oh,
you're
oh,
talking about.
oh, Brittany with One Piece. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, with coming back to One Piece years
Yeah.
later. Oh my God,
Yeah.
please, I want to tell the folks out there because I was so happy when that happened. Oh my God.
So I had just done a convention with Mike McFarland and met him
Mm-hmm.
for the first time. Had no idea, you know, what he had done on things. Didn't know he was one of the directors. Didn't know he was the current. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
All I knew is that we liked the same kinds of foods. And like I was like, I got a foodie. There's like another foodie here. And he was like, you want to go to this restaurant? And like we got this group of people and I was like, yes, I do. Do you want to eat borscht? Yes, I do. Do you like
Mm-hmm.
beets? Yes, I do. Like it was just like we just got along really well.
Yeah.
And then I don't know where we were placed like in the convention, but like probably like across from each other. You know, anyway, so when I got this offer to come back and be Miss Buckin, like I don't remember if Brittany told me first that she recommended me
Mm-hmm.
or if I already got the call that I was doing it,
Yeah.
you know. I knew I was recommended by her
Yeah.
and you know, because they were looking for someone who does really good with comedic older voices and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, Erica. And I was like, oh, you're so sweet, you know. Um, and then they cast me, but I thought that Mike knew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, you have to
The
know.
fact that he didn't know is hysterical to me.
I'm still like, really? Like maybe you undreamt that you knew because we had just spent like just a couple weekends before, you know, and like looking at each other's banners,
Yeah.
even if he
Yeah.
hadn't
Yeah.
heard it.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was like, Erica, I had no idea. I was like, what? How is that possible? But I mean, it was awesome. Love
Yeah.
working with him.
And she's got some funny stuff coming up again in the story later on.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, without getting too much into it, because I'll let you discover that. But there's some deep plot stuff with her coming up imminently. So you're gonna have some fun with that. And
Cool.
because I always thought, I think I even said to you over time, I was, oh, I really hope you get to do it someday. I always said, if we ever meet like Luffy's mom or something, which I don't think we ever will in the story, but I was like, oh, that'd be such a perfect place for her or whatever. But then because it's such a weird, like, you do it so
Yeah.
it's so funny.
What
I
are we
was
all gonna
happy.
do on camera? That's what I want to know. Like, what are we all gonna do in the
In the
live
Netflix.
action?
Oh,
'Cause
please.
I'm going
please.
to all these conventions and meeting all the live
Yeah,
action
yeah,
actors
yeah,
who are
yeah.
awesome people.
Have you met
But yeah,
Inaki? Have you met
I
the Luffy
haven't
kid?
got to
Oh
meet
my god,
that.
he seems
No,
like such a hoot.
I might
Wow.
be meeting young Luffy soon.
Oh yeah, okay, okay.
I can't really say, but I might be meeting young Luffy soon.
I hope
So excited
so.
about that. But no, I mean, a lot of people are like, who would you want to be in the? And I'm like, I have no idea.
To anyone.
I prefer when people tell me. Like I
Oh
just
yeah, yeah, yeah,
how
yeah.
do you see me? What do you want? Like yes, I have dreams. Everyone has dreams, but
Mm-hmm.
also I love it when someone says like I see you here. You know,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm not directing, I'm not casting, I'm acting, you know? Like what do you see? Tell me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, or
Paint a canvas for me.
paint a canvas for me. Yeah. Like I'll do it. Whatever you see, you know. I love to act.
I'm hoping also, this is a side note, but
Mhm.
because I know that there has been some desire on the Funimation or the Crunchyroll, excuse me, side of wanting to have the 4 Kids guys in there as parts. But
Aw.
I know a lot of them are like not doing stuff anymore, or like have moved on to things, or like no one knows where to like even find them or whatever. But I know you and Lisa have both been in there by now, so that's
Yeah,
two
yeah.
4 Kids straw hats thrown in.
And just like the cast, the Crunchyroll cast
Hmm.
are the most awesome people. Like I've
Yeah.
gotten to know a lot of them
Hmm.
at the conventions and they're like super warm and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
they're
Absolutely.
embracing of all of us and they're good people and
Hmm.
just, you know, same as us. It's just so funny because like, you know, talking about theater and improv with Mike, like it's like, oh my God, like there's so many of the same journeys that we all
Yeah.
go through.
Yeah.
You know, like an actor's journey goes like this, but there are points where you know we
There's so much to
there are
relate with
apexes
someone.
where
Yeah.
we have the same experience, and it's like, oh, I had a you know I was in an improv troupe. Oh, you know where was yours, or what did you do, and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
things
Yeah.
like that. There's always something to talk about, always.
You reminded me, totally veering in a different direction, but I always like to ask this because we're more than just what we do. But what do you like to do for fun when you have free time? I know you're also a caring, busy mother on top of this, but
Thousand different things. They're probably all weird. Almost all of them are artistic. I
Okay.
just don't really like to do things that don't involve art.
Mm-hmm.
I like to go see theater.
Mm-hmm.
I like to see movies. I love to watch series. I love to just watch an actor work and be like, what are they doing? You know?
What are you watching
And
right now?
oh, well, I watched Baby Reindeer.
Oh, I haven't seen. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
you haven't seen it?
No, no, no.
Oh, Chris.
Okay.
Oh, you're
All
in
right.
for
Well,
a
it's on the
treat.
list.
You're in for a treat. You know, I'm always watching a bunch of different things at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I
Same.
like to get involved in. What are you watching right now? What are you watching?
A lot of anime.
Yeah.
And some I
You
watched
should.
Chucky and a couple other live
Oh,
action
really?
things. Yeah, which
Is it good?
I'm not a horror guy, and I really enjoyed it, so I highly
Oh,
recommend.
see, that's good to know because I don't like scary movies.
Yeah.
But if they're not completely scary, but they're like I love Dexter and hello, can we just talk about one of the greatest series ever, ever, ever?
Yeah.
Um, based on Psycho. Hello.
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
Bates Motel.
You okay? Okay.
I mean,
Uh.
those two main actors
Mhm.
doing anything, you know,
Yeah.
as they say, like reading the phone book, they're so brilliant. And then the tiny supportive cast that surrounds them. So occasionally you'll see a show and you'll go, everyone is perfect. Everyone is making choices that I can't imagine being better, you know?
Yeah.
Like the movie, I know this is so random,
Mhm.
but the movie Better Off Dead is an example of that. Have you seen that movie?
No.
Oh,
I should.
I'm
You're giving me
excited for
so
you
many good
again.
recommendations
It's a
now. Oh my
John
gosh.
Cusack movie.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He also did One Crazy Summer. Watch them in the same week. You'll die. They stand up to time. They stand up. They're
Okay.
fantastic. But they're examples of films that every character actor in it, you cannot replace them. You can't take
Yeah.
them out and put somebody
Yeah.
else in. They're like brilliant casting. In fact, I should probably go and look and see who cast those films. It would be
I
an interesting thing to see.
I mean, I felt the same way, funnily enough, from last year. I felt the same way about the One Piece Netflix show of just like everybody was like perfect, perfect, perfect across the board. And a thing that easily could have been screwed up for that show
I would agree. I
and
felt the same thing.
was done so well. I was so relieved and happy and and now I can recommend it. I could recommend that to people that are like,
Yeah.
I don't think I can handle 1,000 episodes. Well, here's 8. So here's
That's what
8
I've been
instead.
doing at the conventions. I recommend it, and it's so funny to see how it can be a gateway into the anime or vice versa.
Yeah,
You know, like,
absolutely.
and what's really funny and super interesting to me is there's an age group that is very apprehensive. I think it's really cool, but I've noticed it because I've gone to so many, and I ask everybody so many questions about it. Boys who are age 11 to 13. Now, if they're 10, they love it. If they're 14, they love it. If they're age 11 to 13, a lot of them are like really skeptical,
Yeah.
really skeptical.
Yeah.
And they have to be convinced to watch a second episode. Do you know how many 11, 13-year-old boys have told me they only watched the first episode? And I'm like, okay, need to give a second episode a chance, you know?
Yeah.
But I also think it's adorable because they're the ones that are the most, you would think it would be the 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds that would be more like, that's mine, you know, that's my material.
Yeah.
It's 11 to 13-year-old boys. That's the ones that are like, don't mess with it, or
I know.
you better
I
get
know.
this right. And I've noticed it, and it's adorable. I think it's their right.
That was the exact, because that's middle school age. That was the exact age
right.
that I was like learning about. Oh, this is what anime really is, and like what 4Kids has screwed up my shows. It was that exact, and also
was it?
oh,
Oh, that's
100%,
funny.
and also on
Well,
top
then
of
it
that,
makes
like.
sense.
You know, you're figuring out you don't know anything, but you think that
Yeah.
you know everything. It's I don't actually. I'm reminded. Perfect segue. I was going to ask because your kids do voiceover as well, and they're doing acting. I forget how old they are, but if they're at that age or past it or before it, if you've
They're
dealt with
a little
that,
bit past it.
Okay,
So
okay,
14
gotcha.
to 16, and my son was, I think, 13.
Okay,
Yeah, here, there's the irony. Yeah. So
Yeah.
when we started watching it, he was 13, and he was very skeptical,
Mm-hmm.
very skeptical. Like, I don't think so, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah,
but after the first episode, he was hooked, you know,
Mhm.
like,
yeah,
and even my husband liked it. I was like, wow, like, you can't please that guy. Like, Like
when
you
the
liked it?
normies enjoy it, you know you're doing something right.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely,
He's like a
absolutely.
DC Marvel guy, and
Yeah.
he loved it. Well, I don't want to speak for him. He liked it very much, for sure.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, he's also I don't want to say the word excited. He uses different words than me, but like he's looking forward to seeing season 2.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
it's on the
We
way, and I'm
all are.
excited too. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
But no, but him that's a victory. We'll take that. We take those
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Daughter hasn't
Um,
seen it because she's doing other things. She's
yeah,
so
of
busy.
course,
Oh
of
my
course.
gosh.
When you're a teenager, of course.
She's so
Do they
busy.
like have they enjoyed VO so far? Have they been into it for the stuff they've gotten to work on?
Oh, they love it.
Okay.
They love it. My daughter is like, I don't tend to use phrases like this, but like a
Hmm.
fish in water. Like
Yeah.
it just was like glove in hand. It was just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it was
Absolutely.
freakish how good she was right away. It was like, whoa. And NYAV really gave her start.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, and then like now like Warner Brothers loves her.
Oh, okay.
Her Shend was working with her. She's gotten some incredible lead roles and she sings on all her shows now.
Hmm.
So she also gets to learn music in less than 24 hours with school and sleeping and homework and dance. I'm like, how do you like even
With
as a
your help, clearly.
no, I don't help
No?
her. No, isn't that crazy?
Wow.
I don't help her. She has her own time management. The only thing I will do is I might harangue her or I might harass her a little bit and go, "Did you look at that yet?" Like, and I feel bad because I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah,
you
I
only
know.
have like 30 minutes between this and that and 20 minutes between that." She gets it done. She gets it
Yeah,
done, and
wow.
she's always prepared,
Independent.
and she's not nervous. She's fun. She likes to make fun of herself a lot. Sometimes I'm like, dial that back a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, just dial it back a little bit. You
Only
know?
be a little self-depreciating.
Yeah, yeah, just a tiny bit. Like, too much of it's too much. But like their generation is really into that self-deprecation. It's like,
Yeah,
oh
I know.
God,
It's just so, well, me too. It's so easy. It's
it's their
just,
sense of humor. It's
it's
really
the
their,
low-hanging fruit.
it's their sense of humor. Because I'll be like, honey, don't. And she'll be like, Mom, I'm just kidding.
Let me do my
Mom,
thing. I'm
this
figuring
is
out my
how we built,
material.
Mom. Like that. And my son is a big anime fan. Like I don't even.
Oh.
Oh, he watches. I don't even know what he's watching. He watches so much, and so I can't say what he's done. I don't know what's been announced and what
Yeah,
hasn't,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
he's done one anime
Okay.
and one non-anime,
Cool.
and they were both really unique pieces, and one of them he uh we had to like do a little read for an audition, and then the callback was, let's work, and if we were happy with the performance, we'll keep it.
Okay.
That's a thing sometimes.
Yeah.
And then the other one was a full-on audition. He was so good. Um, Here's what's crazy. One of his best friends has been interested in voiceover much before him.
Hmm.
People come to me. There's no nepotism in it in the sense that, yes, I'm here. People know I have a child, but the child needs to be able to speak and the child needs to be able to read
Yeah.
and express emotion at the same time. It's not easy. And as it came to her, like whew, with him, no, not so much. It was
Okay.
like, okay, well, like, and so he didn't get everything, but also he wasn't interested.
Oh.
I would say, do you want to audition for this? No. Do you want to just, no. And I was like, I'm not going to force him.
Yeah.
But I had to tell him every time somebody asked. And they're like, really? Oh, but I really want to hear him. And I'd be like, I know, he just doesn't, he's
Wow.
not interested. I know.
When you get to a point where you can be selective with your work, that's usually when you're like a long-standing veteran. But he's already just like, no, if I feel like it, too good
No.
for that.
No. This is before he ever said yes to anything. Like,
Oh,
so,
okay, okay.
yeah, so it was like he was apprehensive. And so I was like, all right, well, do you mind if I ask, one of your best friends is interested? And he was like, sure. And I was like, honey, he might get cast, and I want to make sure that you're going to feel okay about that. And he's like,
Mhm.
Mom, he's one of my best friends in the world.
Aww.
Of course I'm going to be okay with that.
You raised a couple of good eggs.
I couldn't believe it. I was
Aw.
like, I thought maybe he'd have some sort of hesitation and go, oh yeah, okay, I need to think about that. He was immediate like, Mom, I'm not going to be jealous. Like,
Did they
I
come to
loved it.
cons with you and stuff as well, much or?
Not too much. Every
Okay.
once in a while, it's like a local one.
Okay,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like I will be bringing my daughter to one in the near future, and I brought my son to one.
Nice.
So I'm trying to figure out a way to do the solo trips,
Yeah.
but that's really hard,
I
because
hope
you
I
just
get
don't.
to. Well, also I hope I get to finally see you in person, but I hope
I
I get to meet them at some
know.
point.
Yeah.
I know we're getting close to the end here, but I wanted to mention because one of my
Sure, sure.
patrons wanted to ask about. Did you enjoy? I'm sure you did, but any particular memories about Dungeon Boonies? Which I just saw Damon last night when we went to the Gundam thing, and
Uh,
he loved working with you on that show for
I
sure.
love that guy so much. Uh, that entire project was like pure joy.
Hmm.
Like, what distracted me was I have Snoopy on my watch. So
Oh, hello.
Snoopy popped up. Um, I love Damon. I love the way he works. I love the way he directs. I love his energy. Um, so many amazing things about it. So I'll
Hmm.
just tell a really stupid story, which is I used to love like can't remember if he was on camera the whole time. I can't remember that.
Hmm.
Or if he would just pop on every once in a while. But there was always this running joke about the cat. There's like it wasn't his cat, it was his roommate's cat, but the cat loved him so much and he loved the cat so
Yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
the cat was always like trying to be near him and stuff. So he would wear the cat as a stole every once like while we were directing, I'd be like, "Oh, let me see Stole Cat." I was like, "I need to see Stole Cat," and so he'd be like, "Okay," and like, and then, yeah, just he's one of those people that you just it's so easy. It's
And
just so
he cares about the art form. He works
yeah.
so extremely hard. Like it's
I don't mean
yeah.
it's easy for him. I mean it's easy for me to work with him.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
It's just the
absolutely.
easy flow, and personality wise, work wise,
Hmm.
acting beats wise, trust.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
trusted him from day one. I try to trust everyone from day one. I really do most of the time. And even if I don't completely, 90% of me is giving, I trust you energy.
Hmm.
Even if 10% of me is going, do I? You have to throw yourself in. But the cool part was I trusted him from the very beginning. I trusted him the whole time to take care of me, to take care of the story. Um, there was no question that it was going to be an excellent result, from the very beginning. I trusted him.
What I loved too also was that I think that was the first, if at least from my peripheral, that was the first in a while that I had heard you do your kid voice, and for a more contemporary kind of
Yeah.
anime dub, and it was amazing.
Oh,
And
thank
he was the little
you.
bits I saw of Lloyd. He's like very sweet and very very
He's
cool, like good
sweet,
protagonist kind. And especially because that's pretty. It's
tender-hearted.
pretty rare too. Like even having the lead kid be voiced by a woman. That doesn't happen as much as it used to in anime in general anymore.
Really? Oh,
But
I didn't know
even in
that.
Japanese, they don't do that much anymore. So
Oh,
no, that was
wow.
very actually kind of very refreshing even for me to see.
Aw. No, I loved it.
Um,
It was, yeah, he was more tender. He was more
yeah,
tender-hearted. So less texture, more, just a lot more sensibility in
yeah,
certain areas,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
a lot less energy forward, a lot more like listening forward, if that
Hmm.
makes any sense.
It's been some cool Crunchyroll slash the artist formerly known as Funimation stuff. I know I haven't seen Senpai's Annoying
That's
yet, but I
funny.
hear it's hysterical. Prince of Tennis, we've all done our little stint on
Oh
over
yeah,
time,
yeah,
of
I know,
course. Yeah,
right?
everybody's been
I
done that
love all the
now.
cameos in that. Whenever I'm like, oh my God, so and so, so and so,
Yeah,
so and so.
Marissa played me a little bit of your cutie honey like song, the little
Marissa's
yeah,
amazing too. And I
so
love the
funny.
fact that Marissa is always like, what about New York? Or what about Texas? Or what about
Yeah, oh
LA?
yeah,
She
yeah,
really is
yeah,
like, I'm not going to be bogged down by borders. Like, if I
yep.
want that person and they live in Louisiana,
Or
I'm gonna get
Scotland or
that
whatever.
person.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I love that she's not
Absolutely.
bound by that, and in fact, she's like intrigued by it, and she is fierce, and it's so funny because I was with her. I've seen her a few times in person recently. She's close with Damon, and I'm close with
Hmm.
Damon, so
Of course.
sometimes we hang out, and I love her. And I remember her telling a story about someone finding her intimidating, and I was laughing inside my head like so hard because she's going to see this and go, "What?" Because I found her intimidating not because she was trying to be, but because in a good way. I was like, "Wow." I just she's a type of person that when she's in your presence, you're like, "I really respect you." Do you
She's
know what I
super
mean?
cool. Yeah.
like she's a New Yorker. I mean, like I think that's what it
Yeah.
was. I was like, she's got that like, and I love her.
I met her
But
when she started,
she's
and
gonna be
now
like,
she's
what?
like doing all this. Actually, funny thing, when she was doing Cutie Hunt, now I can say this because it's out by now. She was trying to find reprisals because there's been many different Cutie Honey things, and she didn't know about the live action movie that I think NYV did like years ago, and like Dan Green and Carrie and all these people were in it. And I showed her, oh my god, wait, there's more. Oh my god. And then I think that it was because of that she tracked you down for specifically for Scarlet Claw.
No
And then by
way.
extension, I didn't even know that, oh, she has this like song and she's this crazy little tiny
Oh,
like gremlin girl. And I'm like, that's awesome. I love
well, let me
that.
tell you what, from my point of view, what I thought. I thought I was going into a live action dub.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I was like, wait, oh, I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone for a minute because I was like, oh, there's animation. And then I was like, oh, she's a child. Like I was, it was one surprise after another. But I was like, I welcome these surprises. Oh, she sings. I was like, oh my God, this is basically nothing. Just the only thing that tracked is the fierceness of the personality.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. But it was like a reboot in a totally, different genre, a different way. And I super enjoyed that. I just featured it recently on I'm a voice actor trend. That I'm a voice
Oh,
actor
yeah,
trend.
yeah, yeah.
I don't follow trends. And like,
That's a fun one, though. Come
the
on.
well, it took me forever to do it. Like after the trend was over, then I was like, all right, I'll do it. Just like when people were wearing skinny jeans, I was like, no, I will not do it. Like it's a trend, forget it. I still have my bell bottoms on. But after the trend was over, I was like, yeah, I'll wear skinny jeans
Sure, absolutely.
because I want to do it. You know,
Yeah, it has to be your idea,
I
and then
was
it's a great idea.
anti-cabbage patch. Yeah.
Wow.
I want my own ideas when I want them.
Well, I'm so happy that we're hearing you and so many great things. I'm so happy we're seeing you at I haven't yet, but that we're seeing you. The world is seeing you at conventions all the time. I know I want to remember to plug. It'll be up there too, but Instagram.com/Erica Schroeder VA. You're very active on all the time, which I'm very glad about.
It's fun.
Anything immediate, like recently out or cons you're going
There's
to or anything?
Oh, cons I'm going to. Well, I'm going to. Well, I don't know when this is gonna.
This will be
Anyway,
this will be out soon. So yeah.
I'm going to Brooklyn. I mean, that's this Saturday. Infinite Collectibles.
Okay.
I'm going to Collecticon Orlando at the end of the month in May.
Hmm.
At the beginning of June, I will be in Spokane, Washington. Then where else am I going? Like two other places in June. I'm gonna be all
There's a
over the
big
map.
Yu-Gi-Oh reunion happening at
That's
some of
this
them.
weekend.
Oh, okay,
I'm
sweet.
gonna be the only one who's not
Oh
there.
no! What the?
There's
Oh, well,
so
there'll
many
be
reasons.
more. There'll be more.
There's so many reasons why. Literally five. But one of them is it's Mother's Day. So
Oh,
I'm gonna
well,
I'm gonna be with my kids.
of
So
course, of
it was
course.
perfect. I got the 1 day appearance on the Saturday, and then Sunday I'll be with my kids on Mother's Day. But yeah, I love everybody. I hope everybody goes and sees everybody and gets an autograph. But if you're on the East Coast, come see me in Brooklyn.
Absolutely. Please, please
I'll be
do.
talking like Joey.
And Wayne will be like, you got him for my job. What are you doing over there? You've been wonderful. Thank you seriously for giving me your time. This was so much
Thank you,
fun.
Chris.
Hopefully we'll do a con together at some point.
Yes, I want to see you in person.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody, I want to, Instagram.com/Erica Schroeder VA. I'm sure you'll find all of her con listings and whatever other lovely projects I'm sure will be coming out with over time. You've been awesome. And everybody, I'll see you on the next interview. I've been literally kind of flying by the seat of my pants on who I invite for these interviews and stuff, but it's been great. Happy to have such wonderful folks like Erica on every month and stuff. So we will see you on the next one. Please keep speaking beautifully. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.